This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh, no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games!
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby! We ain't done yet! We ain't done yet! You like that? You like that? I like that!
Counting down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, Ruckus and The Menace Sports fam? It's another Ruckus and The Menace Sports production. Long time no see, as it's been a couple of weeks, but it is time for episode 136 of the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I'm Spenace.
And I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus, and we did our face reveals, and it only took, 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years into this podcast, we finally ended up deciding to go down the route, but we were waiting for this very moment. Perfect time to take the 2 weeks off. And on this episode, we have our transaction log, which features a few notable NFL things. We do not have the Eastwood segment this week, in spite of it being returned. We now have MLB previews covering a very huge degree of our high heat. And over the 2-week break, the bingo card keeps getting missed. We will have a primetime game this week. And our stud and dud as normal. Ruckus, let's kind of catch some people up on what's kind of been going on throughout this 2 weeks off. I mean, we've probably both been on a lot of games. I've been kind of keeping abreast to what MLB The Show has kind of had going on, and I'm kind of excited.
I've been just mainly focusing on single player games, a few games come to mind. Spider-Man 2, which released on PC late January, literally the last couple days of January, and then Monster Hunter Wilds just came out. And bad thing about that, PC optimization is not good, but I mean, I have a high enough end rig where it'll run just fine. But yeah, it's definitely riddled with some bugs. I've also been doing some simulation stuff with Madden where I'm either signing top talent as far as tackles go, and really just seeing what scenarios
He's
I can
trying
put
to use
in.
this time to research what the Chiefs are going to do in free agency.
Shut your mouth. It's really just seeing what would happen if I could
go to see what he can do.
So I decided
we all know, Ruckus. We all know.
I decided to sign Scotty Miller in free agency to see how I can bolster the speed with not only the speed of Xavier Worthy and Rasheed and all them, but also just see what else I can do. See what other mayhem I can do. I ended up trading for Bajan Mr. Mustard himself, but that's besides the point. Other than that, I've been chilling and just watching documentaries. I just started the Fall of Diddy on HBO Max. It's a decent one. Not very kid-friendly, but here we are. Anyways, let's before we get off the track anymore, let's
And I know that I have been trying out the world of disc golf and trying to get a little bit more skill in. I'm supposed to be going out this weekend to do a little bit. And then also, as far as shows I've been watching, I've also been watching The Neighborhood with Cedric, pretty much headlined by Cedric the Entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, I have never realized that show was going to be hilarious, and we're on the second and I'm only on season 2. Near the end of it, but I'm only on season 2.
Yeah. I've been actually, now that you mentioned disc golf, I did complete a practice with some homies with this baseball club that I work with. My legs are sore, but I'll get through it. It's a slow process.
Yep. All right. And with MLB The Show sitting about 2 weeks away, content will soon be hitting the channel once again. As far as YouTube content will go, I have set myself now at 2 weeks away down to probably 6 teams that I'm considering for mine. Ruckus probably will take one of them, which will likely be the Blue Jays. But I will still have a choice of the Mariners, the Pirates, the Nationals, the Cardinals, and the Giants. And I think the two that are really sticking out to me most out of those, I am between the Cardinals for the National League and the Mariners for the American League. Because the Mariners have never won a World Series. But if I want to go NL, I'm leaning toward the Cardinals because with the new free agent logic that's going on in the offseason, I kind of want to test around a little bit with it. Yeah, and in order for me to do that, and for me to really make a good 2-season run, I think the Cardinals would be a very interesting team to do it with. And also with the new high school and college storylines that I can kind of work with in Road to the Show coming in, thanks to the theming, I may very well even look at doing some Road to the Show content this go around. And I am looking at probably doing, if certain things go the way they need to, I'm probably looking at probably Wednesdays and Saturdays for Road to the Show. No guarantees yet. I probably won't start focusing a little bit more on that thought process until maybe about late March, early April, because I kind of got to get some content, because I kind of got to make the content set out, and I probably won't be doing that right away. But then I've got wedding anniversary and also a potential 3-year celebration plan should Ruckus and I eventually decide to go with it for a special side project. But more details on those things. I was going to say more details on this will be on the status of TBD, of to be determined. And now that the housekeeping is done, Alexander Ovechkin is now 11 goals away from catching Gretzky. He's been on a little bit of a tear lately. And Ovechkin, I have honestly very much enjoyed what he's come along with so far. And the Capitals are currently up 3-1. Senators are on a power play, but I am trying to double check right now to see if Ovechkin has put in a goal, which he has not in this game, in this matchup at Capital One. So he's still sitting there. Couple of notable NFL things. Darius Slay is set to be a free agent after winning his Super Bowl with the Eagles. Jimmy Johnson has retired from NFL on Fox, so now I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Johnson's spot is now officially Gronk's.
What are you talking about? He's looking to suit back up for the Broncos. What are you talking about?
You talking Gronk?
Yeah.
No, I think Gronk is... Wait, I know there was a certain... I think there was a certain bet that was involved with that.
I don't think there was a bet. I think he just said that he wanted he would consider going to play for the Broncos, and then the internet went super viral because of it.
That's what I said. I thought it was a bet. No, there was a bet with J.J. Watt.
Oh.
It was J.J. Watt that had... I think it was J.J. Watt had something that was... I think it was...
All right, let me get my facts straight.
Yeah. So I think it was... Yeah, it was a... Oh, it was J.J. Watt with his... It was his bet with one of his, I think, Burnley players. Of that if a certain thing had happened, he could very well come out of retirement and play. And it was actually for Cincinnati.
Oh.
It was Cincinnati.
So it'd be Burrow instead of... I thought it was a whole thing about something about how he just on his own free will he wanted to do it. I didn't know.
He basically, what J.J. Watt basically says that there was a certain point of the season where the goalkeeper in Burnley is a huge fan of the Bengals, and when J.J. Watt he said it's like, yeah, fancy coming out of retirement for the Bengals next season. And J.J. Watt looked at and responded back in a DM saying, you don't allow a goal for the rest of the season and it's a deal. So he's got to get... So he had to finish with 24 clean sheets in a row. And he was halfway through. As of a couple days ago.
There you go.
Yeah, it wasn't Gronk that had a coming out of retirement wager. It was J.J. Watt over at NFL Today on CBS.
All right.
And then last but not least, the Commanders. Well, T. Higgins was franchise tagged for the second time by the Bengals, especially since they were wanting to try and keep that core together. No surprise. But the Commanders trading for Deebo Samuel. And as a little bit of a, not necessarily a cynic, but kind of a person who kind of takes certain things like that and getting people who have such high profile to them with cautious optimism, or with some caution, especially with an injury history like Deebo Samuel, I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, I don't know what their official plan is. I mean, the Commanders in general have a bunch of weapons, whether they're young, old. Like, you had Antonio Gibson, you had Luke McCaffrey, who literally was a rookie. You had...
Antonio Gibson was gone last season due to fumble problems.
True. And I was just pointing that out because he's been in the league for a while. But you also had some other guys, too,
Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin. I mean, they've got a bunch of stars that either are still hanging around or kind of have come and gone, and there was major free agent moves. So I know that with Peters making this deal, it seemed very measured.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that it has to come with a pinch of caution because of Deebo Samuel's injury history. Although it seems like health has been not as much of a concern over at the Commanders headquarters this time around, but anything can happen.
Yeah. I agree.
But we ready to move on to the high heat here?
Yes. Let's go.
All right. We are starting with the high heat in MLB preview. and we will each individually be breaking down a half of the teams that are in a certain division section, and this week is the Central Divisions. Ruckus has the AL Central, and I have the NL Central. Next week, we are looking at the West, where Ruckus will have the AL West, and I will have the NL West. And then in 2 weeks, we will have the East, and I think I'm going to give Ruckus the NL East here, because my division, the AL East, is because of my Boston ties.
Yep, and then I can talk major shit on the Mets.
The Mets are their own debacle, or at least their own weird sense of story. But I'll let you go ahead and start with the AL Central.
All right, so I did this in order of just how the standings were last season. So what we're gonna see here is the first team being the Guardians, and my summary here says, last season you unfortunately shit the bed and managed to squeeze out one win for effort against the Yankees, of all teams. And this was in the ALCS. Fast forward to the 2025 season. You had some cheap death pieces for the pitching, including taking a chance on John Means, which historically has been, he was a pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, and he was a somewhat star or budding star pitcher for the Orioles, and then he tore his he had to get Tommy John surgery on his arm, UCL or whatever, and he just hasn't been the same since then. He was a year removed from it last season, and he came back last season and pitched for maybe one or two appearances, and then was shut down for the rest of the year with setbacks. But that's the risk that the Guardians are willing to take. We'll see how that goes. You also get a veteran bullpen arm in Paul Sewald, which, for whatever reason, came out right field for me. I think
you mean left field?
Well, either way. He's a righty, so that's why I say it. I don't know if we talked about this earlier, in the offseason during, the November, late November, early December times or what. But anyways, you get a bullpen arm in Paul Sewald, who knows what it takes to win and has been in the World Series more recently. You still have most of the key pieces besides trading Andres Jimenez. That's what I remember. Blue Jays for some future pitching prospects, and then my question is, can the Guardians finally get back to the top? They might have to wrestle Bobby and the boys in blue for that one. Wink. Failed wink attempt. All right.
I'm going to give you a small little bit of pause here, because I am going to throw something that kind of gives a little bit of a justifiable reason for the Guardians to have traded Andres Jimenez. And that is because their top prospect, who is currently number 10 out of the top 100, although he is only in high A ball right now, is projected to make the majors at some point this year in Travis Bazzana. And then they also have an outfielder in Chase DeLauder. Shout out the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia on this one for his hometown area, as he is in AAA right now and could find his way into the majors here soon, and he is currently ranked number 36 in the top 100. So they've got a couple of players, and then they have a couple of other players who are not projected to make the majors this year, including the brother of Jackson Chorio, Jason. So they are probably one of the most intriguing teams as far as top 100 prospects. Not in richness of resources of those top prospects, but they at least have a top 10 prospect at second base that potentially could be the player that comes in and fills the void.
Yeah. All right, and then moving on, I'm going to go with my favorite team. Y'all know what it is. It's not how about those Chiefs this time around. It's let's go Royals. Clap, 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 clap. Anyways, number 2, they were second in the division in 2024 season. The 2024 Royals get back to the playoffs after 10 years of retooling and terrible luck with some key pieces. I'm calling people out already, though, so be warned, Royals players. MJ Melendez has had his moments, but most of the time is silent at the plate but makes up for it on the field. Mainly in the outfield. He was a catching prospect back 2017, 2018, from what I remember. Michael Massey and many other teammates are having to share time at certain positions because Jonathan India got traded from the Reds to the Royals for a decent bullpen piece and Brady Singer. The reason why I say decent bullpen piece, if you get your pitchforks out, I'm sorry, but here's my logic to that. Brady Singer was good for the first couple seasons and then had some command issues, I would say, at the throwing it, and I just feel like my guy Brady was doing better in the bullpen later on so far in his career, and I just don't know what else to say as far as his stock value, but I think it was probably for the better. But there's definitely going to be some players in different spots, and hopefully we do it for the better. You bring back the vet starters Lugo and Waka. Meanwhile, extending Cole Reagans while adding more veteran bullpen pitchers like Carlos Estevez from the Phillies. Can the Royals, after 10 years, get back to the world stage and actually win it? I have high optimism, but you gotta stay healthy. That is the name of the game. It's always been like that no matter what sport. You gotta be healthy.
Yeah, the Royals are not as deep in the farm, so...
Right.
So right now, if the Royals are trying to have a lot of preparation and prospects, the only one that really is in the top 25 is Jack Caglianone,
yeah,
who is currently in high A, but is not projected to make it all the way up to the show this year.
There was also some tweet about how the Omaha Storm Chasers wanted him to start with them, and I don't know if that was a joke or if they were being serious, but
yeah, but that's a first baseman. They've got a couple of catching prospects in the top 100, but none of them are projected to make it all the way up into the show this year because Blake Mitchell is currently in high A, but is 2 years out, and then their catcher and then Carter Jensen, their other catcher, is in double A, and he's a year out.
That's my name too.
So basically, with what the Royals have is that they don't have a ton of high-end depth in their farm system, so they're going to have to kind of win it based off of what's currently up in the show right now.
Yeah. With that, next I have the Detroit Tigers. Somehow, in the weirdest possible way, these guys roared their way back to try and scare the rest of the league near the end of the season. They lose to the Guardians in the division series, but bring the promise of the organization with a big signing in Gleyber Torres. Hear me out. Again, there might be some people saying Gleyber Torres is mid or this or that. I think of it this way. Back in 2006 and 7, when I actually started paying more and more attention to the players of the major leagues, a couple players, or really two, came to mind. Placido Polanco, and I believe, God damn it, who was the second baseman? Because I think, or maybe it was Placido Polanco was the second baseman.
Placido Polanco was a second baseman over there at Detroit. I know that outfielder-wise, they had Maglio Ordonez. But I think what intrigues me most is that the Tigers have two prospects in the top 10. At 5 and 6.
Edgar Sorry. Edgar Renteria was the shortstop.
Yeah, that was no. He was a Cardinal. He was a Cardinal at the time.
I was looking at 2008, but either way, I think of it kind of like that defensive duo, because you have Gleyber Torres, which, number one, he's fairly decent with his arm, and he can be very fancy at times. And number two, you got Baez. That man will literally be doing this shit at second base. So like barely, he won't even be looking at the glove. He'll just go like that, and you're just like, okay, yep, you're the guy. So I think they'll make some sweet chin music on defense later on in their career. We'll see. But could bring back a dynamic duo in the infield with Baez at short and Torres at second. Jack Flaherty decides he wants to give it another go with the Tigers of all teams. Could have been a key piece with the Dodgers, but whatever. Twins, I don't know what to tell you. You got an identity crisis, and it's not good. Fix it. That's all I gotta say as a dirty Royals fan. White Sox.
Well, they have a prospect in Double-A in the top 5.
Yeah.
So there's at least something coming along the way with Walker Jenkins, but he's currently in Double-A and not projected to make it up until next year.
And then for the White Sox, my notes were just don't suck as bad as last season. You guys are better off sticking with Tony La Russa because of the sheer amount of snoozing he did and the team did last season. Oof. All right.
Well, I think that the White Sox were just incredibly depleted at that matter, and although they have nowhere to go but up, it ultimately is going to involve probably the trading of Luis Robert if they're still down that bad.
All right, Spenace, what do you got?
All right, so the landscape I had was kind of based on how I remembered all these teams coming along. And the first one that I will be talking about here is the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost Willy Adames to the Giants in free agency and traded away Devin Williams to the Yankees. But in that trade, they got Nestor Cortez in return. Former MVP Christian Yelich enters his age 33 season and will be the major star the Brewers have on offense. But, younger players such as Jackson Chourio, who's in his age 20 season, Garrett Mitchell at 26, and Bryce Terang at 25, will be vital pieces for the Brewers position player-wise, along with William Contreras behind the plate. Pitching will be led by Freddie Peralta and Nestor until Brandon Woodruff returns fully from shoulder surgery back in 2023. Jefferson Caro, in his age 22 season, is a young catcher that can learn from Contreras, and potential pitcher Jake Mizorowski, who is also at 22, are prospects in the top 100 that are projected to have time in the show at some point this season. And they've got and the Brewers also have a couple of young infielders that are still about 2 to 3 years out.
When you talked about Devin Williams, when you said the Yankees gained Devin Williams, well, they lost his beard. So there's that.
It can come back. It can come back as
I
will mention in the that was on the bingo card was the Yankees are permitting well-groomed full beards for players. So even though Devin Williams initially shaved it off, it could very well find its way back to a certain degree.
To add to that, I feel like they also did that so they could get more availability of players, because every player was like, "Oh, I don't want to shave my face" or any of that shit. That was probably why.
It doesn't surprise me either.
But
now we move on to the Northsiders of Chicago and the Cubbies. The Northsiders offseason caused ripples early on as a major trade with the Astros to gain Kyle Tucker to round out the starting outfield with Ian Happ and Billy Haywood, Pete Crow Armstrong, along with Ryan Presley, to shore up the bullpen was their main piece of movement. Tucker replaces Cody Bellinger, who was also traded to the Yankees.
Replaces.
And Isaac Paredes was also sent in the trade for Tucker to the Astros. However, the Cubs' starting rotation is going to be their weak point, along with also not having Nico Horner to start the season due to surgery on his right forearm. Matt Shaw is projected to start at third and is a top prospect in his age 23 season. And most of the Cub prospects are projected to get called up at some point. The only one in the top 100 that will not have a holdout, or that holds out from a potential projected holdout, is Jefferson Rojas, who is only in high A ball right now. So pretty much, if those Cubs players still remain in the minor leagues, they've got prospects to eventually either call up to fill voids or trade away if they're not quite up to snuff at the deadline. So the Cubs have a little bit of a higher end on the farm system if they're willing to give up very much. The next one here is the St. Louis Cardinals, where their offseason was more about what didn't happen rather than what did. And that is because Nolan Arenado was not traded.
Does this have a feeling of, like, the Cowboy syndrome?
Yes and no. Because they did trade away Goldschmidt. But they have young talent such as Mason Wynn and Nolan Gorman already up.
I thought he elected free agency.
Lars Nootbaar leads the lineup, and the Cardinals will have their best attempts to remain afloat with a rotation led by Sonny Gray and Miles Mikolas. But their top prospect, J.J. Weatherholt from shout out another thing of West Virginia over in WVU, the WVU former Mountaineer, is not projected to hit the show until next year. So that gives him another potential infielder, probably at second base. Probably at second or third.
Are you sure that Paul Goldschmidt got traded? I thought he got released by the Cardinals and then signed.
Or at least they didn't retain Goldschmidt.
Okay, yeah, true. I was just double checking.
Yeah.
I was like, hold up.
I think he was a free agent.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a free agent.
I'm glad I wasn't just. Anyways, let's keep going.
Yeah. The next one is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yar.
And ultimately here, the Jolly Roger and the hinging upon it will be through the potential Cy Young campaign of Paul Skeens, as he's building a brand new bag.
Hopefully he doesn't run out of rum. Or has all the rum gone.
He's adding a couple more pitches to his arsenal and because and one of the notable pitches he's added is a cutter. He's added a cutter.
I'm
and
doing
then
like
Bubba
the Vince
Chandler
McMahon thing right now where he's like, oh. You remember that?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I think it's just like he's adding more range to his pitching, to the amount of pitches he's got to be able to become even better than where he was. And then improved health in the bottom of the lineup will be crucial for more times for the Jolly Roger to be raised. And then for the Reds, I think they are a sleeper, headlined by Ellie De La Cruz, wide open for corner infield opportunity. And I think as long as the Reds remain healthy and pitching headlined by Hunter Green in the rotation, since he could fly under the radar and hang around as a wild card team.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brady Singer is like a fourth or fifth man rotation guy for the Reds. Like, yes, like I said earlier, he's more of a bullpen piece for us, but we also have. I feel like we got a little bit of bad luck with the starting pitching farm thing because we had Jackson Kowar originally, which we now shipped him off to the Braves, and then we just traded Singer. He was like one of the two guys, and then Daniel Lynch was also another one. But I think Daniel Lynch is still on the team as a bullpen piece. But yeah, I think Singer is too good. But anyways, let's keep going.
Yep. Well, and that was our last bit, and we now can add on to the things of what wasn't on our bingo card. And I think we left off at Samuel L. Jackson playing a key role in Kendrick Lamar's halftime show as the most recent thing that we talked about. So the next one came pretty much the first week in our time off as yes, even the best golfers in the world can have a major club gap.
Oh, he definitely had many of club gaps.
This was in the TG bubble. Not the point I was trying to make, but 194 yards away because he thought he heard 99. Hit the thing 100 yards, but that was only half the distance that he needed to get to be close enough to the pin. And then we had the New York Yankees permitting the well-groomed full beards because the Yankees have spent so long having a clean-shaved or well-groomed mustache condition. But the most recent one was a golfer escorting an alligator to the water. But ESPN broadcasters decided to call it gator on gator crime because the golfer involved went to the University of Florida.
There you go.
So I've got a golf course. But I think taking that and turning it into no color commentary this week and more things potentially could miss our bingo cards. But now we move on to the primetime game.
Hold on. Did we get a golfer escorting an alligator into the water before GTA 6?
Yes.
Because it reminds me of that teeter trailer.
Well, GTA 6 was announced, but GTA 6 has not been released.
All right. So my bad. Prime time.
Yes. We will be doing 2 immaculate grids and so our primetime game is the grid. And how this works is that we have 9 slots that we have to fill, and you already got your grid up, right, Ruckus?
Yep.
Okay. You're sharing your screen. Do I need to share mine?
I am not sharing my screen.
Okay. All right. So that's fine. So we're going to start with the Major League Baseball grid. And our grid for today is Red Sox going horizontally. The rows are the Red Sox, the Tigers, and the White Sox. The columns are the Philadelphia Phillies, played second base for a minimum of 1 game, and 200 career wins pitching. So, Ruckus, where is going to be your first play?
It's going to be the Detroit and Philly middle left, and it's going to be Gregory Soto, as he was traded to the Phillies during the offseason a couple of years ago. Or actually,
Okay.
I think he was like a midsummer trade to the Phillies because the Tigers were not doing great, and Soto wanted to change of scenery.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go Tigers, played second base, and I'm going with Damian Easley. What was your percentage? What was your percentage on each of those?
So
on your move?
My percentage for Soto was 5%, and then I did another one, but
I
don't know
got
if you're
2%.
ready.
I got 2%. Got 2% on Damian Easley.
Nice. My second
All right.
selection was 200 plus wins career pitching for the Red Sox, and that was Kurt Schilling at 9%.
Okay. All right, here. The fun one that I'm trying to figure out, and the one that I know that I'm going to have some trouble with, is going to be 200 career wins for the White Sox. However,
that one's so easy, dude.
We'll see where we end up. We'll see where we end up on that. I'm going to go Boston, played second base, and I'm going to go with Pokey Reese. And how much percentage was yours?
For Schilling?
Yep, for Shilly you said
9%. Yep.
You said 9. I got 3% for Pokey Reese.
Yep. My next pick was Detroit 200 plus wins career pitching in Justin Verlander, and that was 41%.
Ooh. Oof, that one's gotta hurt. I'm gonna go Red Sox 200 career wins pitching, and I'm gonna go with John Smoltz. Yep, because one of the very few times I saw the only time I ever saw John Smoltz start, he actually was with Boston. Very briefly. So that ended up getting at 4% for me. All right, your next move.
My next move was Mark Burley of the White Sox with the 200 plus wins career pitching, and he is at 43%, which is 2% even more than Verlander. No!
Oh, wow. That was why I was also trying to stick away from that spot. And I'm going to say that I'm going to go with the very fun irony here that we also talked about this earlier. I'm going to go Tigers Phillies, and I'm going to go with Placido Polanco. Okay, so that was my
That's a good one.
first one in double digits. 12%. All right, your next move.
My next move after that was, ironically, Detroit and playing second base, Placido Polanco, but this time it was 4%. Surprisingly, you would have thought it would have been like the main thing.
I am actually going to go Boston or Red Sox Phillies, and I'm going to put Jonathan Papelbon. Oh, that one hurt.
Yeah,
not as
here.
badly though. Yeah, I had 23% on that.
I'm trying to figure out who played second for the Sox, the White Sox. So my next one after Palazzo Polanco was the White Sox and Phillies, and that one was Jim Thome at 30%. Oof.
Yeah, I figured that was going to do that. A second baseman for the White Sox. I can think of quite a few.
I just don't want to be wrong.
But I'm actually going to go, oh, that actually worked out even better. Detroit Tigers, 200 wins. I got 17% for Mad Max.
There you go.
For Matt Scherzer. All right, so you've got 3 left.
One of them I picked Dustin Pedroia playing second base. That was a mistake. 35%.
Yeah. Let's see. White Sox, Phillies.
Oh, I got it. I got that one right. Cool. I found.
Oh, jackpot! Jackpot! White Sox second base. I put Willie Harris, and got 0.3%.
There you go. So after Pedroia, I did hop on and got 23% between the Boston Red Sox and the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yep. All right.
And then my final one for the Sox and second baseman, I put Nicky Lopez at 3%.
Yeah. All right. White Sox and Phillies. And White Sox and 200 wins pitching. I'm trying to think of who's ultimately... Because the biggest part is ultimately, like, who is gone... Who's had, like, a brief stint in the White Sox that would have been nice for that. But I think I am going to have to bite the bullet here. Take the 43% with Mark Burley. And then White Sox and Phillies. I think I'm also going to bite that bullet too. And I got all 9.
Same here. And
where did you end up scoring?
My rarity score was 193.
I win the baseball one at 134.
Only by 60 points. And that's still pretty good. And then let's do football.
And here were the most popular answers. For Red Sox Phillies, I thought Papelbon would have been less popular, but because I thought there was a more popular answer than that, and that was none other than Shane Victorino. I had Shane Victorino in that potential spot that I could have used. Red Sox second base was Dustin Pedroia. Red Sox 200+ wins career pitching, Pedro Martinez. Then you had Nick Castellanos for Tigers Phillies, Lou Whitaker for Tigers second base, and Justin Verlander for 200 wins. Jim Thome for White Sox Phillies, Tim Anderson for White Sox second base, and Mark Burley at 43% for that particular spot. Wow, how did I not think of Walter Johnson? Of Walter Johnson. Or at least... Wait, no. No, that wouldn't have worked. No, that wouldn't have worked. that doesn't fit the category. But there were like 20 answers that. When 20 answers, I averaged. Well, the average was 6. But are we ready to move on to the NFL?
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, I'm now going to make sure that I can see. All right. And here are the directions to go. In the columns, the Jets, the Ravens, and played for only one team. In the column, or in the rows, the Chargers, the Commanders, and the Lions. All right, Ruckus. Where is your first move going to be?
It'll be the Chargers and Ravens, and I put J.K. Dobbins at 26%.
I'm going to take the center square, and I am taking none other than Deion Sanders.
The most
with Commanders Ravens. Yep. Well, that one ended up at 22%.
I don't know how to spell.
All right, so where is your? Wait. Were you going to go Deion Sanders in the middle? Were you going Deion in the middle?
I didn't know what to put, so it kind of killed my thing anyways. But after J.K. Dobbins, I put only one team for the Lions, and I put Jahmyr Gibbs at 15%.
Okay. I'm going to go Chargers-Jets, and I'm going with none other than Antonio Cromartie.
Wow. I wouldn't have remembered that, to be honest. I put Mike Williams as my pick because that was an easy cop-out answer.
Yeah, I took Antonio Cromartie. I remembered Cromartie as a Charger, and then I think there was a good bit of time where I think he was like the opposite end of Darrelle Revis.
Yeah. That's what I remember from back in 2009 with Sanchez and company. With Rex Ryan.
All right. Where's your
butt?
Yep. Where was your next spot?
I picked the Chargers and only one team as my cop-out with Justin Herbert at 36%.
Okay.
Part of me is curious.
I'm going to go Chargers.
Part of me is curious if I made an incognito window and ran Immaculate Grid, if I put Philip Rivers in, if he was like 70%.
He wouldn't count. He wouldn't count. Philip Rivers played for a second team.
You're right. Never mind.
But Chargers Ravens, I'm putting Eric Weddle. Oh wow, that got a lot more than I thought it would. At 24%.
Still better than J.K. Dobbins at 26. All right.
Yeah, not much though.
I don't know what the hell to put for Lions Ravens.
Oh.
Or really any of the other three that I have left. I had the Commanders Jets, the Lions Jets, and the Lions Ravens. I don't know anybody off the top of my head.
I definitely know that I have Commanders Jets. I definitely know that I have that one. And I definitely know some career Commanders. But beyond that, and I definitely know some career Chargers. So I'm trying to think of because I think you've got the next spot.
But I don't really know what
Or
to
have you
put,
just
is the problem.
What do you have left? Because
Like
I've only played 3.
Oh, I put in Deion Sanders for the Ravens Commanders one, and then I had Jaden Daniels as my only one team for the Commanders because that was a cop out as well because I couldn't think. I mean, Brian Robinson Jr. maybe, but I feel like he was with the Jags before coming to the Commanders, right?
Nope. He was drafted.
Okay.
He was drafted.
I don't know why I think Brian Robinson Jr. was a Jag for a brief stint, but that's just me.
Lions, Jets. Oh, this
that's
is
the part that's kicking my ass too.
Trying to think of where. Did you miss?
Did Dominican Sue play for the Lions and the Jets?
I do not believe.
I think I'm thinking the Eagles. I think I'm thinking the Eagles.
I do not believe he was a Jet. I know that Sue was a Lion, and I do not believe that Dominican Sue was a Jet.
I tried searching CJ Mosley for the Lions Jets and it did not come up. So I am down to 2 guesses.
Yeah, I went Commanders Jets, and I took Lavernius Coles, but I definitely know of another one that you could throw in there for that spot.
For the Commanders Jets?
Yeah. Santana Moss.
Alright. Thank you for that. 12%.
Yeah. I mean, Lavernius was 6%, but...
I don't know what to put for Lions and Ravens.
Sam. No. Nope, that one doesn't check out.
Oh, damn.
That one doesn't check
really
out.
To figure out. God damn.
Oh, wow, There's a few of these that I think I completely...
Yeah, that's not gonna be a thing. Alright,
Wait!
I only got...
CJ Mosley would have counted.
For...
It's not the same. You wouldn't have done the Ravens one, but there's a different one that would have counted.
Well, either way, I only got 7 out of the 9, so it is what it is.
But the funny part is... But here's the other funny part. Austin Seibert is actually one that would count for Lions Jets when you really come to think of it. Oh! How did I completely forget about that?
Who was it?
Anquan Bolden.
For...
Lions Ravens.
Damn. Oh well. I'm just kind of like shit.
Now,
Like some of these are like easy cop outs, but some of these are like really hard to pinpoint.
yeah, that was actually what I was thinking of here for that one as well.
All right. So, are we ready to go forward?
Kellen Winslow. I went with Chargers only one team. Kellen Winslow Sr. Well, that actually would have worked, and I knew that right off. I just was confirming it. Yeah. Jason Hanson, kicker for the Lions. And then Commanders, only one team.
All right, we should probably wrap this up and go to our stud and dud.
And the one I was looking at was Gary Clark at wide receiver. Oh wait, nope, that wouldn't have counted. I'll just do Darryl Green. Yep, and I had a rarity score of 82, getting all 9. But granted, I had 2 at 0.6, and but yeah, I had a little. I carried a little bit more ground when it came to that.
All right.
But that's all beside the point. And now we move on to our stud and dud of the week. And I think we're definitely going to close with your dud. So I think we go studs first.
All right.
My stud this week goes to... And mine goes to St. John's University and Coach Rick Pitino for winning the Big East Championship and climbing up to 6th in the most recent coaches poll for men's college basketball. In short, Pitino as a premier college basketball coach is back once again.
After shit-talking his team last season. He was just like, they all suck. But, we're just playing through it, but yeah, they really suck. Anyway.
Yep. And then I'll let you go with your stud here, Ruck.
My stud is the Lakers, as they are gaining ground with the 2 seed in the Western Conference after adding Luka. That fade.
Well, and speaking of Luka, in terms of where he was, my dud goes to his old team, the Dallas Mavericks, for not necessarily having a great methodology on keeping fans happy as they raise their season ticket prices due to investments in the team and fan engagement 1 month after turning their fan base practically against them with the Luka Doncic trade.
Wah, wah, wah.
How stupid and out of touch do you have to be to have that happen? Like, it's like as if the Dallas Mavericks are shooting themselves in the foot left and right.
No, this is an airsoft gun, by the way. They are literally doing this to their foot right now. You're welcome.
It's like they're trying to do this thing like he's in Top Gun, but instead, this basketball team right now is dying in that plane crash. They're not Tom Cruise.
Damn, went straight down to the nitty gritty there. All right, so my dud for
Ghost
this
Rider.
episode, my dud for this week is Giants even having the brain cell that is their organizational dumpster fire. The Giants even having a thought of adding Aaron Rodgers to the trash heap that is New York football in itself. I know this is probably just a bunch of bullshit hoopla, but Giants, if you have anything to go based off of from what Woody from the Jets is doing, don't do it off of Madden rating, for the love of God. How drunk do you have to be like, oh yeah, I think adding Rodgers is a good idea, after years later you get roasted on the internet for putting Saquon on I don't even think he got signed later on, but franchise
yeah, they
tag,
basically were they couldn't stomach it if they let Saquon go. And what did they do? They let Saquon go.
Yep, they turned Danny Dimes into Danny Two Pennies, and then he got picked up by the Vikings, and you guys done messed up. And the running back that you ended up letting go won a Super Bowl championship against my team, which honestly I'm happy that Saquon got a championship and got a taste of what it really feels like to win.
And I'll say this, even if the Giants even pursued Aaron Rodgers, they unfortunately would be like Aaron and done messed up.
Yep. And then also, I feel like if it was the Giants, they'd be like, do you not want to show up to training camp? Here you go. Do you want ayahuasca? Here you go.
It took us that long to get to the ayahuasca jokes? It took us that long? How far down the bottom of the barrel did we have to go?
Well, I went down to the barrel of the thought that the Giants would even consider Aaron Rodgers in the first place, but here we are.
The Giants at this point, because they probably don't believe in Cam Ward or Shedeur or any sort of type of thing, they're the ones probably having to scrape down to the bottom of the barrel to find Aaron Rodgers anyway, who again, as we've said before, should have retired a while ago.
I would have said the Vikings should have picked him up just to fulfill the prophecy of shitty Green Bay past, where it's Brett Favre going from Green Bay to the Jets to the Vikings and then going.
No, that would have had too much That would have had too much logic. That would have made too much sense.
Boy, oh, I'm sorry.
It basically would have been Green Bay going through Groundhog Day with another quarterback if the Vikings would have done that. It's like they just had the same quarterback career channel all over again. Watch out, Jordan Love. Give them about another 5 or 6 years and they'll ship you off to the Jets.
I think it'd be really funny if the Vikings... I feel like if the Vikings went for the bit, they would sign Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb and whoever else was on the Green Bay Packers and turn it into the Minnesota Packers. You can't fucking tell me that wouldn't happen.
That's if you commit to the bit. But I don't think they would commit to the bit. The Kevin O'Connell definitely doesn't. They've already got Justin Jefferson. They've got Justin Jefferson. They've already well gone past committing to the bet. Take us out, Ruckus.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and also if you're watching the podcast for the first time, seeing our ugly mugs, mainly my ugly mug. Thank you for listening to our podcast, the best podcast in the land. We'll see you guys in the next one. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And was this your attempt at flattery? Never mind, I'm Ruckus and The Menace.
We'll see y'all later. Deuces.
Deuces.